350 all the way to the block. The next step is to take it to a machine shop so it can be checked for cracks and cleaned up before we can rebuild the bottom end using products from Molly Motorsports and Eagle Specialty Products. Britt Bostic, the owner of New Tech Engine Systems in Ramona, California, did an excellent job machining our block. He took it from a boat anchor to a usable block that with just a little bit of paint will look like new. Now let's head on over to New Tech to see what it took to get our block to look like this. Britt's shop, New Tech Engine Systems, is located in Ramona, California. He has a ton of specialized equipment that most of us just don't have access to. So when it comes time to machine your block, you need to take it to a shop like New Tech. Now, since Britt is a full-service engine building shop, he can build anything from a daily driver to a full-blown race motor. Now, we could also have him assemble the motor for us, but that would take all the fun out of it. Well, Britt, thanks for letting us into your machine shop. Everybody wants to know the process of machining a block, so what's the general overview of what we're going to do today?
Okay, first off, we're working with a Chevy 350, and you guys have already stripped it down, so it's going to go into a jet wash tank. After it comes out of the dishwasher, then we'll buff it and get it all clean.
Using a camshaft bearing tool, Britt removes all the bearings in our block. We'll use the same tool later to install some new ones. Then he removes all the freeze plugs using a punch, a hammer, and some pliers. Next step is to magnaflex the block to make sure there aren't any cracks.
I'm going to mag the mains off from this thing. Magnetize it with this Magnaflex mag, and this powder's basically blow the excess off. You look for cracks. This powder consists of cast iron, talcum powder, and it's got a color in it so you can see it. Make the wicker bores. Well, these later model 350 Chevys, they start lightening up the casting, so they have a bad habit of cracking up the wicker bores. Well, that's that. You guys lucked out. No cracks.
We're going to take a quick break while Britt gets our block ready for line honing.
E3 Diamond Fire spark plugs are the most powerful spark plugs you can buy. They deliver a more complete fuel burn, more power, better economy, and reduced emissions. E3 Diamond Fire spark plugs at auto parts and lawn and garden stores everywhere.
Well, you've got our block set up in your line honing machine. What's going to happen here?
We're going to dress the main saddles, get all the burrs off of them. Another thing I like to do is go along the easy edge here. That way when we're done and when it goes on assembly, you're not peeling metal when you push the bearing in.
Okay.
We're going to go over in a little bit and cut the caps, and then we'll rough line hone it, and we'll get it to the low side of the spec, and then at that point we'll measure up the crank, and we'll put the bearing in it, and we'll physically measure and check the clearance.
Britt uses a belt sander to deburr and chamfer the main caps. This will make it easier to install and remove the bearings during the assembly process. Then he uses a cap and rod reconditioning machine to square the main caps in preparation for line honing.
Now that we've cut the cap and we've filed these meeting surfaces, we're going to go back and file the edge here.
In preparation for line honing, Britt puts all the caps back on in a specific order, adds some bolt lube, puts the bolts back in, tightens them down, then torques them down to spec. Britt uses a setting fixture for the sun and dial bore gauge, setting it on the low side. He'll line hone our block to that setting. And once that's done, we'll put the bearings in, use a micrometer to measure the crank size, set the dial bore gauge again, then verify our clearances and make any adjustments as necessary.
So we're at -3, -3.5, -3 and about 2/10, -3, and this one's -2. But we're not going to get excited about that because that cap's wider and it cuts slower. First one's half, second one's a half a thou, half a thou, half a thou, about 4/10.
measuring device for when you need to measure something down to 1/1000th of an inch or smaller. Alright, we've got our crank from Eagle Specialty Products. What do we need to do to it?
Well, right now, we're gonna mic it because we wanna get the size of it, put a bearing in that block, and set the dial bore gauge to the size of the crank, and then that way we'll get an accurate reading on what the oil clearances will be. But since we're here, we're gonna go ahead and mic the main and the rod journals, and record those on a build spec sheet for later references, because we'll need the rod sizes when we compare the oil clearance on the rods when we get to that part. Now we got the gauge set and bearing in there and the cap torqued up. Gauge is set to the size of the crank. And just gauge this hound dog and see what we got for clearance. Alright, we checked our clearances with a standard bearing in here.
This is Jody with weldingtipsandtricks.com. Let's get right to it. I've got a little project going on. I'm welding several parts. Actually, it's a repair. I'm replacing the ends on some type of rubber mold. These are really crude molds. They're like split halves, and they're all galled up on the end where a metal puck goes in, and they don't want that part fixed. They need them bad. They need them to make parts tomorrow morning, and this is Sunday, and I'm doing this, and as soon as they cool off, I'm going to deliver them. But there are a few issues I need to go over, otherwise some things won't make too much sense in what I'm doing. Number one is the end pieces that were all galled up, the guide rods were all mashed up and mangled and everything, so we're replacing end blocks. Now, in a perfect world, all that crappy weld right there would have been machined off. Actually, it's not too crappy, it held for quite a while, but it would have been machined off. I'm having to weld over remnants of previous weld, and it looked like this one was MIG welded, and MIG welded pretty cold. You can see that not much penetration went on in there, so good news is it held for a long time, so I'm pretty sure whatever I do will hold up okay as well. But because some of these had MIG and some of them had obviously stainless wire put in them, I'm going to use 309 wire on them. Another issue is these end blocks here, they're nice and chamfered, so I can sink a deep weld in there. But the problem is they were supposed to be drilled after all the welding was done. They're supposed to be indexed on a CNC mill. We would pop all 4 holes in there. That way everything would match, and that's not what happened. And there's no more material. And it's Sunday, and we got to go out Monday, so I got to kind of try to get them all aligned as closely as possible and sort of indexed. And they may have to be reamed out a little bit to fit, but that's the plan anyway. So that's what we're going to do. There's quite a bit of play, I found out, quite a bit of tolerance on the guide rods, so I think we'll be okay. But I do need to take care in fitting them all up right. And what I'm going to do is I've got this little strong hand fixture point table. It's got a lot of little clamps and stuff, and I'm going to make a little makeshift fixturing station on the corner right here. And I'm going to use one of the pieces for a straight edge. And I'm going to use all these clamps to hold it down. And I've also got to use a little piece of shim stock, because another issue is pieces are slightly undersized. They're about 50 thousandths undersized. The holes are centered up, but they're undersized. So I got a shim at 25 thousandths on one side. So I've got a little makeshift little fixturing station here. I've got six of these things to tack up, and want to get them all the same. So this is my best shot at it here on Sunday afternoon. I want to get at least 4 tacks on each end with it clamped down, jam up and jelly tight, so that when I tack it, it doesn't pull apart and leave a gap and misalign and whatnot. So I check each one, make sure I don't see any light up in there, and then I move on to the next one. And obviously I have got things sped up here quite a bit because I'm on board. Now I do little jobs like this quite often, so having a table like this, a little investment with some clamps and everything, well worth it for me. It may not be worth it for everybody, but it's well worth it for me, because sometimes there's maybe 50 or 100 things like this to do. To set up a little station and go through them all, tack them up, weld them up. It's just worth it for me. So I'll just do one, and we'll move on to welding. Again, I got good 4 tacks sunk down there pretty deep. 150 amps is what I'm using, and I am using 309 wire. Again, not as a crutch. I don't generally weld carbon steel with 309 routinely, although it can be done. For a lot of applications, it's actually a good choice. But it's more expensive than ER70 type fences than
Now on Tyra.
A sex addict at just 15 years old. She's had sex with over 20 guys.
I wake up in the morning, I think about it. You don't deserve me.
Plus,
The supermodel that I used to work with, battling with sex addiction.
Allison, come.
now,
We're taking you inside sex addiction rehab.
I don't even know if I'm going to make it.
and he slept with over 3,000 women.
Tonight is definitely one of the biggest nights of our entire lives.
It's insane for us. We're just two normal college kids that happen to love music and share the same dream.
Alex loved music when he was a kid, so I tried to nurture what he had in him. He said, "Dad, I want to play the guitar." And I said, "Okay, well, it's got to be your passion." Sure enough, he made it his passion.
Sierra was always very focused as a child. She started off doing Irish dancing and she excelled at that.
I was there the day Alex and Sierra met. We were playing guitar on the back of this car. There was just sparks flying. Look at them now. Cutest couple on TV.
I'm Alex and this is Sierra.
Brother and sister?
No, we kiss, so that'd be weird.
I thought this was a joke. I thought a couple of students, they're going to do Britney Spears, yeah, right. And then when they started, God, they're really good. You know, I never asked you how it came about you auditioning for the show in the first place.
I had to beg him for about a month and a half before he would do it. And I was like, Simon Cowell's on the show. And that was when he said yes. Alex and Sienna.
When we found out that you were our mentor.
Oh, he teared up.
Yeah.
I've said
No, I
it.
didn't. Okay.
I see real winners here. Actually, these guys, their version of Toxic was great.
I was very excited.
Well, I've got to be honest with you, I really wanted the groups because of you two.
Alex, you were so much stronger than Sierra.
That night we were both really appreciative of how much you stood up for us, and especially her.
I see your face when Sarah's getting criticised. I think this is why it's worked so well, that you can support each other. That was the moment. It was like I watched the show in black and white, and then you guys came on and it turned into full colour. The last 2 weeks have just been incredible, and I genuinely meant what I said on the show.
I would like to just bottle the last 10 seconds of that song, Sierra, because it was perfection.
I really want to make sure that you know.
I can't fathom what $1 million is.
Just gotta make it through one more week and then in the finals.
We're like college kids, like we scramble money together to get like tacos.
I'm not ready to go home yet.
Me either.
For the song to get us into the final, Simon has chosen a song by Sarah Rose.
Last week was your best performance. I don't know how you're going to top that, but you have to.
It's really important to get to the final, but it's also going to be really, really difficult.
We heard what the other people are doing. This is the time we just can't get anything for granted.
Alex and Sierra.
Something always brings me back to you. It never takes too long. No matter what I say or do, I still feel you here the moment I'm gone. You hold me without time. You keep me without change. Never wanted anything so much than to drown in your love and not in your pain. Set me free. I went all out into your gravity. Here I am as I stand, so tall, just the way that I'm supposed to be.
Mm.